Rupe here from Lerch, and today we are in our Dallas office in the great state of Texas, located in the colony. And we thought this was a great opportunity for us to introduce Mike Frech. Mike has joined Lerch as the executive vice president of our building science group. And so we just thought we'd just take a little time to chat together here today so everybody can learn a little bit more about Mike and his plans for building science here at Lerch.
Thank you, Eric.
Welcome. So, Mike, building science, it's kind of like elevators. How in the heck did you get into building science?
Definitely take a circuitous route to building science with a sociology, psychology degree. You wouldn't say
Directly
like
into
this is
building
where you
science.
get, that's not the perfect on-ramp in, right? So I worked for a contractor for many years when I first got out of school because I was not mature enough to say I want to go back to more school, and I was ready to go. So I worked as a contractor on that end of things for about 10 years. Left that. I enjoyed that job, but I wanted to learn more. That was one trade. Got into building custom homes in about 2008. So 2007, everybody was building custom homes. 2008, no one was building custom homes. So had a little hiccup there. Went back to contracting, did some roofing work, and at the same time went back to school. So I did need something that said I belong in the career that I've made. So finished that while still working at a large national roofing firm, and was able to use the degree to sort of jump the fence to the other side of design and get into building science with a young firm that was located in my town in New Jersey, and ultimately grew in New York. And then I've sort of been on that trajectory of building science since then.
Wow. We all get here in a strange route.
That is true.
So thinking back, I mean, you've been in contracting custom homes, you've been in building science for a long time. What's your most memorable project along the way?
I probably have two for two different reasons. One was a church that we did that was directly across from Hudson Yards. So it was a facade and roof restoration. It was a desperate need. And I remember being on the roof and they were breaking ground on Hudson Yards.
Wow.
Okay. So Hudson Yards, we're talking skyscraper, the whole deal. Through several pastors and lots of winding, twisting, scope changes, Hudson Yard was completed, and the project that I was on was not quite done yet. So that's memorable for just the comedy of the timeline of the work that was done. Another one was a unique situation in which we were doing a parapet replacement, and we took down the parapet, and generally you're going to take it down to like the roof deck, and you're going to rebuild it, make sure that everything's tied in structurally. When we got down to the structure, those structural pieces did not meet the parapet. They were sort of just hanging out there, and there was how I would say, temporary structure that was built on top of the actual roof structure that pitched things the way it should go, none of which was reinforced properly or anything. So in addition to that, there had been a fire years ago, so some of the structural pieces were charred. So that was interesting. It was very early in my building science career after I had come over from being a contractor. So that was a pretty gnarly one to get a hold of.
I think that's the secret to what we do. We get to see what's behind the scenes in so many of the projects that we work on that people never get to see the backside or the inner workings of the projects and the buildings that we're on. I think that's a cool part of the careers that we're in. So, what's your take on where building science is going in the next few years? What are the top 5 things that you think are really going to impact building science as an industry, as a profession, as a trade in the coming future?
I think building science has evolved, right? I think it's something that maybe wasn't looked at as its own separate thing, its own separate vertical in the beginning, right? And then as things would go wrong and people understood like, hey, like if we paid more attention to this during design, if we paid more attention to this during maintenance, right, we could avoid a whole lot of litigation, cost, additional projects, right? So I see that awareness coming, and then also a model in which there's understanding that it requires maintenance to keep your building in there, right? So you want somebody up front who's a specialist to make sure the design's right and the execution is right in the field, but then you're not walking away, right? Much like everything else in your building portfolio, you need to maintain this. You need to be watching this and monitoring it. So I think that is the next step for building science.
Sort of managing the asset for the client.
Absolutely.
Over the long term. Any other?
Yeah, it said top five. I think I only got that one that's in front of me right now. I'm not sure I got four others that I could tell you about.
Very good. So tell us a little bit about what brought you here to Lerch Bates. What was the things that excited you about coming here, and then we'll finish up with you telling us sort of where you'd like to see building science go at Lerch Bates.
Sure. What brought me is it was local to me, right? We were in Denver. I live right outside Denver. The history of Lerch Bates and being building flow oriented and now building science around it, right? I have experience in that. I was at a firm that was acquired by another firm that did predominantly something else. And I managed teams while I was there that had been acquired. So I felt like I was uniquely qualified to understand what it was like to be acquired and also do the acquiring. So with that background and meeting the people at Lerch Bates, I felt like I could really make a difference. Unfortunately, it's not the same. So that was attractive to me to be able to say like, hey, I could come in and make a difference here and really help with the growth.
Tell us a little bit about how the ESOP appealed to you. How did you feel like that was presented? How did you have to wrap your head around it? And
it did take me a while to wrap my head around it. As you know, I came back during one of the interviews. I think we spent one full session going through ESOP benefit, what can be done, what it is, all that it brings. I think it's a very unique situation that brings about a lot of what's people in small companies believe when they're in it, right? That they are part of the team, they're going to benefit from everything that's happening. And the ESOP brings that to a much larger scale company. You get that smaller feel and you get the benefits that you would get from a smaller firm, but you get it in a large scale. And obviously, it's similar to being in a small firm. The success of the firm turns into success for me personally. So it was very attractive. It was a huge part of the reason.
So, building science at Lerch Bates, 5 years from now, what do you want it to look like?
Some of what I talked about, with it being the future, right? The maintenance of things. I believe that there's a lot in that, in changing the mindset of I have an asset, it's built, now I'm done, right? And I've just got to, check a roof every 25 years and do, certain things. There are things that we need to do on a regular basis that would, small costs on an annual basis will prevent these giant unforeseen costs. And a lot of times what I say is like, we want to be proactive rather than reactive. So that is something that I would love to see us do, where we're in the proactive end of things. Where we're in proactive can include pre-construction, right? Where proactively we're going in, we're reviewing details, we're doing the testing, right? We're being proactive against armoring this building against what it's going to face, which is nature, right? So I see that as the future of, you say 5-10 years out, what are we looking at? That's what we're looking at. We're looking at education of our clients to say, hey, you have a valuable asset, let's keep it valuable. Let's not have it depreciate without us having some sort of maintenance plan in place.
Awesome. Anything else you can think of about joining Lerch Bates and finding your way here?
Well, it's been about a month and a half to 2 months, and it's people. I've said it before when everybody asks me, I really have met great people, which is the best stepping stone to having success, right? You have to have the right people in place to be able to do it. And I feel like we have the right people. Maybe we'll tweak here and there and set people off in the path that they best work in. But having great people puts us, I'd say, 2-3 rungs ahead of where we were if we just started straight away. So
yeah, the benefit of ESOP, right? Great people working for a common goal.
Absolutely.
So, well, Mike, thanks for taking time to share with us today. We'll go off and work with our Dallas colleagues here over the next couple of days. And I really appreciate you joining us and looking forward to great things.
Thanks, Eric.